If you're watching this video, then there's a good chance that you're in the position that I was 5 years ago. I used to be a serial procrastinator who had a lot of potential, but I just never seemed to be consistent with any of the goals that I set myself. I would have like a massive wave of motivation at the start, and I would think, right, I'm going to get into the gym now, or I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to start meditating, any habits like that. And after a few weeks, I would just fall off and return straight back to square one. And yeah, I'd be scratching my head wondering where it all went wrong. This cycle just repeated and repeated for a good couple of years until I sunk thousands into mentors, seminars, online courses, and I read like every self-improvement book under the sun. But eventually I was able to turn things around, and I went from being a serial procrastinator to a consistent action taker who actually follows through with their goals and achieves what they set out to achieve. And the crazy thing is that I'd always been told that, oh, you need more motivation, you're just not motivated. So I constantly believed that, and that's what was making me actually fall off the rails, when in reality I didn't need any motivation at all. I realized that I just had the wrong system and I didn't have enough discipline. After I eventually turned things around for myself, I was then able to become an engineer, a top athlete, and a business owner and coach. And I've since helped 500 plus others make the exact same transformation to go from procrastinating all the time to getting consistent results without needing any motivation. And by the end of this video, I'll teach you the exact framework so that you can stop breaking promises that you make to yourself and start actually living up to your potential by making consistent progress with your goals. So the first thing that you're going to want to do with any goal that you set yourself is become crystal clear on what that goal actually is. A lot of where people go wrong is that they're too vague with their goals, and I've fallen into that trap myself for sure. So for example, you can think, I want to get fitter this year, I want to get my dream body. But that's far too vague, and if you leave your goals too vague, then the chances are that you're not going to take the action to actually get you there, because what does the action look like? You want to get fitter, that leaves the door wide open to mean a whole lot of different things. So the first tip is to get crystal clear on what it is you actually want to achieve. So instead of get fitter, break that down into, I want to get a sub 20 minute 5k. That would be a really specific goal. Or whatever you want to achieve. I want to grow my biceps to X size. I mean, that's a bit too specific, but you get the point. And once you've got that more specific goal, then you can start to work backwards and turn that goal into daily actions or habits or weekly actions. So if your goal is to get a sub 20 minute 5k, then a few weekly actions you could have there would be to run twice a week or run once a day. You can see how just taking the first step of getting more crystal clear on your goals can have such a big knock-on effect to whether you actually follow through with them or not. After you've become crystal clear on what it is you actually want to achieve, I find that building a daily routine centered around that is an absolute game changer for actually staying consistent and achieving that. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you have a goal to make £3,000 a month for an online business, which is a good goal, it's specific and crystal clear. Then your daily routine should reflect that. So let's say that you have a day job that you go to, a 9 to 5 job. You could create the daily routine for 2 hours when you get home. You walk through the door and start working on your business for 2 hours. So you've added in a habit to your daily routine that's at the same time every day that's going to move you closer to that goal bit by bit. As well as that, you could have habits in the morning. So when you first wake up, you could send an outreach email or send a few DMs on Instagram. Anything that relates to your goal that you can break it down into smaller chunks. You can start incorporating that into certain times in your day. I find creating a daily routine like this is probably the number one most important thing for keeping you on track and making progress towards the goal, because often you can set these goals and then before you know it, there's been 6 months and you've made no progress. Whereas if you make a little bit of progress every day with a strong routine, then before you know it, you'll have achieved your goal. After you've created a daily routine, a really important step now is to eliminate any distractions that are knocking you off your goal. So we all have things that distract us in life. The most common ones are, like social media, scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, or binge watching Netflix or YouTube, or maybe it's even people, anything like that. Once you've got your goal and your routine set in place, then there are going to be things that are trying to grab your attention. So write a list of the biggest distractions that you have in your life and come up with at least one way that you can eliminate each distraction. So for example, if you find yourself coming home from work and just scrolling on Instagram instead of working on your business, for example, then put your phone in another room and for that 2 hours that you're working. If you can just make simple, clear eliminations for each distraction, then you're so much more likely to actually stay on track with your goal and not get knocked off. The next step to actually making progress with your goal that I find is, I know I've said game changer a lot, but this one actually is a game changer. For me, it's just daily journaling in the morning. Every single day when I wake up, I journal for 5 minutes. And what I'm actually doing there is just setting several small micro tasks throughout the day that relate to my goal that I need to get done. So this relates back to the becoming clear step 1. This relates to that because instead of writing down tonight I will work on my business, what does that actually look like? So if you can just, when you wake up for 5 minutes in the morning, even if you haven't got a journal, just use a notepad, can you just write down 5 things for the day, 5 small tasks that will move the needle with your big goal? So for example, if your goal is to work on a business, your 5 micro tasks could be start building the website, send out 5 DMs to potential clients, build an email list or start building an email list, send out an email to my email list and post 1 bit of content. Those are just 5 examples of things that you could write down in your journal in the morning. I just find by journaling first thing in the morning, you just set the intention for the whole day and you end up getting so much more done than if you just leave it to your brain to think about goals. If you have them written out, you're much more likely to do them. The next step to achieving your goals is actually kind of a mindset shift. So it's what I call doing something rather than nothing. So what I mean by that is often we fall off the bandwagon with our goals because we find it's been too long without doing anything and everything. Oh, I can't be bothered to get back into it now. So you might not have been to the gym for a week. So you think, well, I'll start again next week or I'll start again next month. When in reality, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There can be a middle ground, which is where the something rather than nothing mindset comes in. So let's say that one day you really can't be bothered to make progress with your goal, whatever that is, working on your business, going to the gym, meditating. Instead of thinking, I've got to do an hour of it, or I've got to go to the gym and drive to the gym, do my workout, or I've got to work on my business for an hour, just break it down into doing something rather than nothing. So rather than abandoning your goal completely, just do like a tiny little version of what you was going to do. So do a home workout or send 1 email to a client, which will take 5 minutes. So you can see by just shifting your mindset like this, you're just going to start to build up your consistency over the days rather than just having 1 blank day, 1 blank day, 1 good day, 1 blank day. One day you might only do 10%, the next day 20%, then 50%, then 100%, but you're actually building up that discipline and consistency and you're making much more progress than you think you are. For me, this is one of the most important mindset shifts to actually becoming a consistent person who follows through. And the last step to actually achieving your goals without needing motivation, and probably the best step, the step you're going to like most, is rewarding yourself. So what do I mean by that? Let's say that you go to work and after work you do 2 hours work on your business. That's great. You've had a productive day. You've ticked everything off in your journal that you set in the morning. So by all means, then you can watch your favorite Netflix show or have your favorite snack. You don't have to completely sacrifice everything that you enjoy. And by doing this, you'll actually start to build up your discipline. And what I mean by that is your brain will start to associate that reward with doing the hard work that you've done. That's just how your brain works. It makes connections between the reward and the work that you've just done. It's almost like training a dog. So naturally, you'll start to crave just doing hard work, and hard work will actually make you feel good just by making this simple reward scheme after you've done something. And as well, adding balance to your life is how you create longevity, and you can keep going in the long term because you don't have to cut out everything. You can still reward yourself. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you implement these steps, you will definitely go from a procrastinator to a consistent action taker. And if you want to know how to actually implement this into your life in reality, then I'd like to invite you to a free workshop that I'm hosting in May, which is all about goal clarities, how to go from unclear to unstoppable. In a 90-minute session, we're going to map out your goals and build a plan that you'll actually stick to. And I'm just going to walk you through this live over 90 minutes and yeah, like I say, it's free. So if you are interested in that, I'll pop the link in the description so you can sign up to that. But I do only have limited spaces, so yeah, time is of the essence if this is something you're interested in. So go ahead and check out that link, sign up, and I'll see you in the next video.